Hi, my name is Aya. You're watching Aya Reads, and I am a very big fan of Elsie Silver. In fact, I stood in line for like 3 hours to meet her. I've given every single book by her at least 4 star. Most of them I've given 5 stars. Hopefully, when this video comes out, Wildcard, the fourth and final book in the Rose Hill series, will come out in a couple days. So hopefully everything goes according to plan. So I figured I have not read her first series yet, so I really wanted to do that. I want to be caught up on her backlist before finishing the Rose Hill series and also before her new series starts, which that has been announced. It will come out next year. So I actually have the old indie covers because I prefer those over the new traditionally published covers. So for this vlog, I will be reading Off to the Races, which I'll leave the traditional cover here for you so you can, that is going to be the one you'll find actually in the bookstores and online. So Off to the Races, Out of the Gate, which is a novella, A Photo Finish, which this one I'm the most excited about. One, because it's connected to the Chestnut Springs series, but also because this seems to be a lot of people's favorites. The Front Runner, and A False Start. So I'll talk about these books when I read them. I'll give you the synopsis when I read them. And at the end, I'll do a final tier ranking for Elsie Silver of all the books that are out so far. So I really hope you enjoyed this vlog. Make sure to like this video if you liked it. And also make sure to subscribe if you haven't done so already. And let's cue to the vlog. So I started Off to the Races yesterday. And I'm on page 146. I don't know if you can see that. Should I put it here? You know what? I'm just gonna put a picture here, I guess. So Off to the Races is about Billy and Vaughn. And Vaughn has this ranch that was left to him by his grandfather who died. But there's like a scandal attached to the ranch, so he really needs to make sure, like he wants to like revitalize this ranch basically. And he hires this horse trainer named Billy, who he thinks is a man, to help him with a horse that is supposed to be very good, but he is not good with people at all. So he needs somebody to train the horse so that the horse can race and win prizes for him, basically. When Billy shows up, Vaughn, whose mother is trying to set him up with anybody and everybody, basically, he tells her she needs to leave, and he kind of insults her a bit. And then she tells him that she's there because she's Billy and she's hired to work for him. Yeah, so she gets hired to train the horse, Double Diablo, who she affectionately nicknames Dee Dee. And she, you know, I'm gonna grab it again, sorry. She finds ways to work with the horse. She realizes he's just scared, and she slowly but surely gets the horse to trust her, and she's basically also the horse's advocate. While she's doing that, her and Vaughn get closer. They have these like sexual interactions with each other. That's basically where I'm at. I'm liking parts of it. I'm liking all the horse things. I'm liking her training this horse. I'm liking the friendship between her and Violet, who's gonna have the next book. One thing so far I'm not really liking, although I have to say where I'm at now on page 147, it's a bit, it doesn't feel as icky, but in the beginning I found Vaughn to be very inappropriate because he's her boss. And yes, I've read other Elsie Silvers where he's the boss and she's the employee, like for example, Wild Love. But in that book, these two knew each other. So when lines got blurred and lines got crossed, it felt like it didn't feel as icky to me because they had a past of friendship. So I trusted that Ford would listen to Rosie when she didn't want anything. Whereas here, Billy is the employee. So I just like, and obviously I'm reading this book. I know it's going to be a romance, and I actually don't mind employer-employee romances, but it needs to be built up. And this wasn't building up at all in the beginning. Like they crossed the line, like he crossed the line several times when they didn't have any meaningful interactions with each other. So then in that case, it feels icky to me. Like it would have been different. Like where we are at now, they had like some friendship moments between them, scenes of her cooking for him and them talking about things that he's dealing with. So when a scene happens of them kissing, then it doesn't bother me as much because they have, like, they're building something. But if they don't have anything going on and it's just a boss coming on to his employee, I don't really enjoy that. I honestly don't think this is gonna be my favorite Elsie Silver. So because where I'm at now, I just am not really loving them as much as I love other couples by her, but I'm enjoying it. Like her writing style is so easy to fly through, and I'm liking seeing the other characters in this first book. And like I said, I really like the whole stables, like the whole horse things, because I do feel like, yes, technically her romances are cowboy romances, but in most of the books, there aren't a lot of horses around. So I feel like this is going to be like the series that's going to have the most animals in it, which I do enjoy that. So far I don't really have a whole lot to say. I'm going to continue reading. So I guess I'll update you once I finish. So I finished 2 books. I don't know if you can see that. I'll just have the pictures up here. So I finished Off to the Races, and I started and finished Out of the Gate. So let's start with Off to the Races. It was not my favorite Elsie Silver. I gave it 3 stars. And the reason is, so I'm filming this clip a bit out of order because I actually finished the next book already, which that is going to be the next clip. So let me actually see when I finished it. I finished it like 5 days ago, and I don't really remember a whole lot about it. Like, this book just left my mind. And yes, a part of it is the book's fault, in my opinion, but also some personal things, which I talk about a bit more in depth in my next, like when I talk about photo finish. So a part of me was that I could not really concentrate a whole lot, but I also didn't really love this book. I didn't really like the characters. If they felt like one-dimensional characters, in my opinion. It is clear that this is her debut book, and it's not bad at all. Like, it's still 3 stars. I like the setup here. I like how she's setting up the rest of the characters in this series. What I said in like my first update still holds true. What I was most interested in was all the horse stuff, like Billy with the horses. And the romance itself just didn't really do a whole lot for me. They felt like one-dimensional character, especially him. Like, I felt like I did not know him at all. And at the end of the day, I just didn't really care that much, which is kind of where a 3-star sits. Like, it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad enough for me to give it any lower than a 3. Like, it was a good time. I was enjoying myself. I was listening to this while I was listening to it and reading it at the same time, which I think that is really what saved this book a bit for me, which I'll talk about when I get to like the novella. But yeah, at the end of the day, the plot was a bit more intriguing for me than the romance, and it's quite forgettable, unfortunately. Like, it's not fun for me to talk this way about Elsie's books because she is one of my favorite authors. Like, I've given most of her books 5 stars, but I mean, not everything can be perfect, obviously. And it does, like, to me, each book, no, that's not true. But I feel like, yes, obviously it makes sense that her next series is better than this one. Although, spoiler alert, I did really love photo finish, which I'll get to, which you'll see. I need to stop. That's why I should not film clips out of order. But yeah, at the end of the day, I would say if you're a big Elsie Silver fan, read it. But I would not start with her books with this book. I just wouldn't. I would say just start with the Chestnut Springs series, because that to me is the best way to get into her, which obviously is what I did. Yeah, like I said, I don't have a whole lot to say about this book. Next, Out of the Gate. This is a novella, and basically this is Dermot and Ada's story, which they are the grandparents of Vaughn and Cole from Off to the Races and Photo Finish. And you heard a lot about Dermot and Ada in Off to the Races, because Dermot obviously is Vaughn's grandfather. He had a very good relationship with his grandfather. That is part of like the third act conflict also in Off to the Races, which also, that's another thing. The third act conflict was just stupid in my opinion. I just did not enjoy it at all. So yeah. Sorry, I'm all over the place. Moving on to this one. This is just a novella. It is 106 pages. You follow them. This is a bit of a second chance romance. He is 10 years older than her, and he was like an employee of her father's ranch. She always had a crush on him. It was like the most obvious crush in the world. She was like a little girl following him around, and he obviously paid her no mind. She was just like the daughter of his friends, basically, until when she's 18, he ends up enlisting in the army, and she kisses him and tells him that she is in love with him. He shuts her down and tells her that he has no feelings for her and basically leave him alone. And I mean, he's going anyway. And now 3 years later, he's back, and her feelings for him has not gone away. And what she doesn't know is that he has been pining for her those 3 years as well. And this is that romance. This I gave 2 stars. I'm sorry. Oh my god. When I realized that, I could not believe it, but I mean, it is what it is. Here we are. To me, this should have either been a longer book or it just shouldn't have existed at all. And I feel like she realized this because there hasn't been another novella since. Because especially what he has gone through, he has been in the army, he obviously has PTSD. Although this technically takes place a long time ago, which that is another thing that bothered me. There weren't enough pages to do justice, to do that story justice, basically, about his struggles and everything that he's gone through. So then in that case, it should have just been longer, when obviously she didn't want to do that because it just isn't relevant for the plot of any of the other books, in my opinion. And technically I've only read the first 2, but it wasn't necessary. I feel like she already talked enough about Dermot and Ada in the first book that we just didn't need a whole romance about only them. Also, I just don't really love that. We know that technically they have an HA, but on the other hand, you know that they die. They both are dead at the start of the series. Also, the characters themselves felt so passive to me, especially him. He made no decision to save his life. Everybody else basically had to make the decision for him, whether that be Ada or Ada's father. And I don't like that in a man, especially. Like, make some choices. Like, stand up for what you want. Don't let other people dictate what you can or cannot do or should not do. That bothered me. That made him an unappealing character, in my opinion. And once again, I just didn't really care about these 2. And I just felt like this was unnecessary. Like I said, maybe I would have felt different if this had been a full-length novel. But then I don't know, because I just feel like this was unnecessary, in my opinion. So the Gold Rush Ranch didn't start off on the best note. But fear not, because hopefully it will only go uphill from this point forward. Because like I said, I did really enjoy the second book, which... Enough yapping right now, let's cue to a photo finish. Okay, I'm freshly laundered, so this vlog is not going the way I want it to go, because while I'm filming this, it is Saturday, and this vlog was supposed to go up tomorrow, but I've only just finished photo finish, which I will talk about this book in a bit. So I still need to read 2 more books. Obviously that will not happen in like a day. So we're extending this vlog. So let me tell you what happened was when did this happen? Yeah, okay. So on Wednesday, I was supposed to go to my parents in Rotterdam after work, but I started getting like a headache and I just wasn't feeling too well. So I texted my mom saying, you know what, I'm just gonna stay home. I'm not feeling too well. Thursday, I was working and like I started getting a headache and I felt it. I had like a really bad like teeth ache. I don't know. It just, everything on the right side of my face was hurting. And it seemed like, I don't know, by that point, it seemed like it was originating from my teeth. And I was just like, throughout the day, it just got worse and worse and worse. I went home early that day and I called my dentist in the morning. And the only available spot they had was the next day at 9 o'clock in the morning. And I was like, you know what, I'll take it, because otherwise it was going to have to be after the weekend. So I was like, you know what, no, I want you to see me before the weekend. But on Thursday when I got home, it just got worse and worse. Like I said, it started from my teeth. I got a really big headache. And like at one point it just went down to my neck. And I was like, I don't think I can survive the night, basically. So I went to like an emergency dentist and he did let me actually look it up with like the English word. He did a root canal treatment. The first part of a root canal treatment. So so that was on Thursday evening and the pain did lessen a bit, but I still like had, like my teeth hurt and I still had a headache on Friday and on Saturday. No, wait. On Thursday and Friday for sure. And now Saturday, no, wait a minute. It's not Saturday. It's Sunday today. Sorry. Saturday, I was also still having a headache. And now Sunday, so this video was supposed to go up today, which that did not happen. Today is the first day I finally feel better. And there's another problem because like the root canal treatment, the emergency dentist could only do like the first part because he's an emergency dentist. So my actual dentist has to do part 2, which is scheduled on the day I'm going to a concert that I've been dying to go to for a year. Damiano from Måneskin. I know he doesn't like it when people refer to him. Damiano David. His concert, and the treatment is at like 1 o'clock. The concert is at like 8. So that I'm not looking for, like, but they only had one spot. So I just took it because I just want this to get over, like, I just want this over with, but I'm probably gonna have a giant headache at the concert. Anyway, enough of that rambling. I finished a photo finish and I started it on Saturday. Like, I read like the first couple chapters, but today, while I was feeling better, I inhaled this book. Like, I read most of this book today. Like, I think I read like the first 30 pages yesterday, and then today I read like 330 pages of this book. I read it while listening to the audiobook, and the audiobook was excellent. Especially the male narrator. His voice was so sexy to me. Let me tell you who the narrators are. Connor Craze and Vanessa Edwin. So this was technically not duet narrated, but this does have flashback chapters where they text, and the texting bit, like whoever is texting that, like the voice actor of that character reads the text out in their voice, and everything else is dual narrated. So this is the second book in the, what's this series called? The Gold Rush Ranch series. Obviously this is the vlog. I had the, and this actually is the one that I was looking forward to most. That's why I have 2 copies. The reason I have this copy is I don't really like the traditional covers. But when I went to the Elsie Silver signing, I could pick extra books. So I picked this one because I figured this was going to be the one I love most, considering this is the most closely tied to the Chestnut Springs series, considering this is about Violet Eaton, the Eaton sister. And of course, the Eatons is the Chestnut Springs series. That is majority of where those characters get their HCAs. In this book, you follow Violet Eaton, like I said, and Cole Harding. Cole is Vaughn's brother from the first book. So we met both of them in the first book. And at the end of the first book, there is an incident between the two of them. Cole whispers something to Violet, and Violet reacts kind of badly to it. But we don't know what he said, and we don't know why she reacted that way. I mean, obviously I knew because I heard a lot of people already talk about this book, but like if you're like a new reader, you don't know what was said. Enter this book where you find out that Violet and Cole, they met through this like online forum where people could, like a kinky forum, I guess. And Violet, considering she was so smothered by, this is my favorite cover, so let me just hold this book up. Since she was the only daughter in a family where there was no mom in the picture, her mom died giving birth to her. So she was always very protected by her 3 older brothers and her father. So she kind of wanted to move out and kind of be rebellious a bit. So she posted like a nude picture of herself, and this guy responded. I mean, multiple guys responded, but he was the one that had like the more interesting conversation with her. First of all, he propositions her into like exclusively sending him pictures and videos in exchange for money. She, since it was like a impulsive thing for her to do, she doesn't really want to be a cam girl or something related to that. She declines, but they do end up talking to each other. And then something happens which leads her to ghost him. And the first time they meet each other again is at that meeting I just described, where he whispers in her ear. And it's clear that he's the guy that she's been talking to. He is the owner of the Gold Rush Ranch. He is a veteran. He used to be in the military. He is a scarred hero, a tortured hero. He's a grump. And he's there because they are like this rich family, and they just bought this company that's very close to Gold Rush Ranch. So he's staying there in order for that company to do a bit better so that he can go back to the city again. He has no interest in staying there. Violet, if you obviously read the first book, you know that she's a jockey now. But in the beginning of the book, she gets injured, which obviously is a trigger for Cole, considering their father died while he was also a jockey, basically trampled by the horses. So he definitely has a lot of PTSD, not just from the war, but also from literally watching his father die in front of his very eyes. So her leg breaks and she lives in this apartment where she can only get to it by walking up a flight of stairs. The only real place that she can actually stay is where Cole is staying. So this is also like a roommates to lovers, which, as you guys know, is one of my favorite tropes. So very much close proximity, and they both have to confront what happened in the past, and they get closer. He calls her like the light of his life, his sunshine. He feels like he's midnight rain. She's sunshine and he's midnight rain, basically. He feels he's not good enough for her, where she feels like he hung the moon, basically. There's also like a very sweet interaction with a horse that she's taking care of, and he is like that dad who doesn't want a dog, but then ends up falling in love with the dog. He's that, but for the horse. It was so adorable. Like I said, I inhaled it. I gave it 5 stars. It was the easiest 5 stars I've given in a while. I really love this book. It is actually one of my favorite Elsie Silvers. I'm gonna do the tier ranking at the end, but I feel like this is definitely in the top 3. This is basically the book that I wanted. Like, even though I gave Bo's book 5 stars retroactively, I don't feel like it deserved it. I feel like this is what Bo's book should have been. I fell in love with both of them. I thought both of them were such solid characters. And I felt like they were definitely multi-dimensional. And this solidifies for me once again why I gave the first book 3 stars. But whenever Billy and Vaughn were in this book, I just glossed over their scenes. I didn't really enjoy it that much. The only scene I really loved was the scene between Billy and Cole towards the end of the book. But other than that, they just didn't really do a whole lot for me. Whereas Violet and Cole were perfect in my opinion. I really love them. I always tend to love like a second chance romance, especially one involving like a false start. They never really were a thing back then, obviously, but both of them did develop feelings back then. But obviously he didn't really know who she was, and she definitely didn't know who he was. And for them to actually get to know each other the second time around, I love that so much. Also, I also love how he had these preconceived notions about her based on what happened in his past with like other women, and she basically proved him wrong every step of the way. And I love that. I loved how she was everything he needed, and it was effortless. Like it didn't feel like it was performative. It didn't feel like she knew, like, she just was herself, and that was exactly what he needed. I also loved all the therapy talk in this book. Cole is really working on himself, and he has a therapist that he talks to often, and it's on the page, and I really appreciated all of that. And I feel like everything in here was like, it made sense. Like, also everything in the third act breakup made sense for his character, why he would behave like that. And also for her character, why she would react like that. So yeah, I fell in love with this book. It was amazing. It's one of Elsie Silver's best in my opinion. Is there anything else I want to say? My battery's flashing, so I don't think I have time to talk about anything else. No, I just loved it. If you love The Duchess Deal by Tessa Dare, then some things about this hero is very similar to the hero in that book. So yeah, even though one is a historical romance and one is a cowboy romance, obviously, it deals with similar things in the hero's past. So yeah, I guess that those are my thoughts. I would highly recommend this. And I would say, no, I'm sorry. The first book wasn't bad. I still gave it 3 stars, but I would say if you also heard amazing things about this one, and I still have not read the other 2 yet, but I think you could start with this one and skip the first one, honestly. But then there are some things about Violet's character that is more explored in like the first book. Like here, like the whole, like she does touch on it a bit. Like she does recap a bit about Violet's career, but actually seeing her go from a groom to a jockey, that all happens in the first book. And also, you know, that scene between her and Cole when he first sees her. That is just iconic, and that is also only in the first book. So I'm taking it back. I would say just read the first book. I would say skip the novella, but read the first book and then go straight to this one. It was amazing. And I'm also really looking forward to the third book because that couple has also been set up in this one. So yeah, I didn't do an update for this one because the only thing I did today really was read this book, and I just didn't stop. So hopefully that will not happen for the third book, so I can give you an update halfway through. So I'm on chapter 23, page 226 of the third book, The Front Runner. And this book has been set up in the last book. You follow Dr. Mira Thorne and Stefan Delka. Stefan, you've seen around, especially in the first book a lot. He is basically the Gold Rush Ranch rival. He also has race horses. And in the first book, the conflict revolved around him. He was looking to buy Dee Dee. He had like some shady ways to accomplish his goal. And yeah, basically like the third act revolved around that. Mira, we've seen around, she's been the vet ever since the first book, and she is friends with Billy and Violet. In the beginning of this book, the first part of this book deals with 2 animal deaths, so that is your trigger warning for sure. So in the Gold Rush Ranch has a mare who dies giving birth to a foal. So they have basically a foal without a mom. And they know, Mira knows that if they don't find a mare who lost her foal, then the foal in Gold Rush Ranch could die because the baby horse needs like the colostrum or whatever, or something from the mother's milk to thrive. And this foal is slowly dying. So when she gets called to Stefan's ranch, there's complications with the delivery and the foal dies. So now she knows that there's a foal at Gold Rush Ranch who needs a mother, and there's a mare without a foal who has plenty of milk to give. So she knows that she needs to find a way for these 2 ranches to kind of work together to save the foal. So she knows that nobody in Gold Rush Ranch is gonna ask him or gonna like put any effort into actually doing that, even though they desperately want to save this horse. So she decides, and she knows that Stefan respects her and that he is interested in her because he kind of jokes with her that he wants to take her out on a date, or at least she thinks he's joking. So she tells him the predicament. And he tells her that he definitely is willing to help, but on 2 conditions. The first one is that the foal needs to be at his ranch, and he's not going to send his mare to the Gold Rush Ranch, even though that would be the more logical thing to do, since the foal is so sickly and the mare is not. And his second condition is that she agrees to go on 3 dates with him. So since she wants to save this horse, she agrees. We know from Stefan's point of view that he would have saved the foal anyway because he is such an animal lover that he would have done anything to protect or like to save this horse. But I mean, he does want to date Mira, so it's a win-win situation for him. And while they're taking care of these 2 horses, they get closer and closer together, and she realizes that he might not be the villain that everybody else has portrayed him as. So Billy calls him Delka the Dick or something. She realizes that he has a very big heart. There's a lot of there's some sadness in his past. He has a sister he's taking care of, like a 19-year-old sister, which by the way, gets the 4th book, so I'm excited about that. I really like her character, Nadia. She sees him bonding with the foal who he has called Loki. That just kind of warms her heart. So they go on these 3 dates. One of them is like a fake dating situation where she introduces him to her family. So her family, she's half Indian. And basically, even though she has a very successful career, I mean, she's a veterinarian, her dad's side of the family, so the Indian side, they constantly keep making these remarks that they don't care about her careers. They want her to get married and to have babies. She feels like they think she's only worth something if she does have a partner and kids. So they have their annual family reunion, and she knows that they're going to ask these questions again, and she just wants to nip that in the bud. And she has this arrangement with Stefan anyway. she asks him if he wants, like, if he's willing to come with her as like her date. So he does, and I loved everything in that scene. Like, that was such a good fake dating thing. And I really love Stefan. Like, he is such a good guy. I love how obsessed he is with Mira, and I love how much he respects her for the awesome, accomplished woman that she is. The fact that he constantly keep referring to her as Dr. Thorne, like to put emphasis on the fact that she is a doctor. I love the fact that he is clear, like he knew what he wanted, and boy, he got her. Like, he made it clear from the very beginning that he's interested in her, and he will do anything in his power for them to be together, and I enjoy every single moment of that. He's a very well-rounded character. As much as sad as his backstory is, his character is, like, it makes sense for the way he handles basically all the problems in this book. And I really love Mira. I like how, like, she's independent. She doesn't want to be tied down to a man because she feels like that's all she's seen around her. And we know, obviously, since it's a dual point of view story, that Stefan has no interest in anything other than let her be free while she's with him. But she obviously still has those fears. I love every interaction with them. I think both of them, like, I think they're so sexy. Like most of the interactions they have, but I also love how, like, from very early on, they do talk about like more difficult topics. One thing that is kind of bothering me is that I feel like Elsie just did not do a good enough job explaining why these two should not be together, basically. So obviously I read the first book. I know why Billy doesn't like Stefan, although in my opinion, and maybe I'm just like too rational to like kind of person, I feel like I don't know what he did wrong, really. Like, yes, like the only thing he did was he wanted to buy the horse. And yes, there was something that bordered on blackmail, but we knew, like, it was clear in that book, even when I didn't have his point of view, that he would accept a no. And like the whole third act breakup, that is your boyfriend. That is not Stefan. Stefan just put a deal out there, and he put something in there to make the deal even sweeter. And that is it. Like, the only thing this man did was wanting to buy a horse. Like, that to me is not a good enough reason to keep two people apart who clearly are interested in each other. And so that is, if you've read the first book, I feel like the reasoning is flimsy. But if you've not read that book, then it makes even less sense if you only read this one, because we barely get any scenes between Billy and Mira in this book. Like most of this book is just Mira spending time with Stefan, which of course I enjoy. I think it would have annoyed me if we got her and Billy scenes. But I mean, if you have this giant thing that is keeping these two apart, then you need to make it believable. And a way you could have made it believable is if we had multiple interactions with Mira trying to portray Stefan as not being as bad as everybody is making him out to be, and then have Billy just constantly keep shutting her down. But those scenes just weren't in this book. So I feel like, or at least for me, it feels like I'm reading this book, you cannot, like, it is not a good enough reason for these two to not be together. I feel like she should have either leaned into that or he should have done something even worse in the first book for me to like be on board with him being the bad guy. Because I didn't leave the first book off with, oh yeah, Stefan is a dick and he should not find love in his life. I didn't feel that way at all. So either you should have made him do something that appeared even worse, or it should have been another reason. Like, or she should have just leaned into Mira wanting to be this independent woman and have no interest in a relationship. Then that would have been more of a compelling reason. But for me, while reading this book, and obviously like where I'm at now, she is coming around to them actually being a thing. But before that, like, I don't understand why she insists on it being a secret, why she insists on them never being seen together, because the author didn't convince me enough that they should just keep it a secret. Having said all that, I am thoroughly enjoying it. Like, I started it today and already I am like almost done. I need to read about 110 pages. Let me see. Yeah, 110 exactly. So I do anticipate I'll finish this today, but I will not update you today. I'll update you tomorrow, because tomorrow I'm planning on filming, so I'll look better than I do today. Do I have any other thoughts? No, I think those are my thoughts for now. Yeah, I really like these two. And Stefan in my head is so hot. Like, and I'm listening to this while reading it, and both narrators are doing an excellent job, especially the female narrator. Like, I really love her voice for him. So let me tell you who the narrators are. Zachary Weber and Sonila Nankani. They are doing such a good job. Like, I am enjoying them together. I don't know, the way he's described sounds like exactly my type. And I just feel like since he is so rich, from a very rich family, it feels like he doesn't belong on this ranch. But then you see him interact with these animals and I just swoon. Like, I have a soft spot for a man who's good with animals, and every scene with him and Loki just melted my heart. Like, I really hope he gets to keep him. So we'll have to see if that happens. So yeah, those are my thoughts for now. I'm gonna continue reading and enjoying my time, and you'll see me tomorrow with my final thoughts. So I finished The Front Runner and I'm gonna give it 5 stars. I really enjoyed it, and I actually have a photo finish here. So I was thinking and debating, okay, do I love this? Let me actually put it here so I can put the traditional published cover here. I was thinking, okay, so did I love this one more than a photo finish? And I don't think I did, because I feel like it's still a 5 star. Obviously, I thoroughly enjoyed this book. Like, there was a role-playing scene in here that was so fucking hot, like, I'm not gonna lie. And I liked both characters, but I feel like all my criticism about like the whole Billy situation just was so annoying to me. Also, Mira keeping him a secret and never really fighting for him. Like that happened too late for me. And like the whole third act, I can understand it, but that was also like unnecessary in my opinion. So yeah, the back half of this book, too many annoying things happened for me to love it more than a photo finish. Whereas in photo finish, I feel like I definitely, like, I could understand everything that happened in that book from those characters' point of views. Whereas in this one, it was like, it didn't make any sense to me with these two very intelligent people to make the decisions they did, or especially her. But at the end of the day, I did love this book so much. Like, I loved Stefan especially. Like, he was just like a poor, misunderstood boy for me. Like, I just wanted to hug him and tell him everything was gonna be okay. And I just loved reading the HEA for him especially, because I feel like he deserved everything good in this world. And Mira, as much as I kind of shat on her a bit, I did love her. Like, I liked how competent she was, how smart she was. I loved every interaction between her and her immediate family. And I feel like her interactions with her friends, those came a bit more after my first update. So I did like her interactions with his sister, especially the friendship she built with her and how she was a ride or die for her, especially, I loved. So yeah, definitely my second favorite of all the books I read so far. The next book will be Nadia, the sister, and I cannot wait. We already saw some interactions between her and her love interest. I feel like I said everything I needed to say in my first update. I just loved it so much. Yeah. Let me see if there's anything. No, all the other things I want to say spoil the book, which I obviously don't want to do. So an easy 5 star for me, but not my favorite. That still goes to a photo finish. So I'm very interested to see how I feel about the 4th book, which after I'm done with this video, I still have to edit and upload a video, but after that, I'm gonna sit down and hopefully read a big chunk of A False Start. So maybe you'll see me later today, and if not, another day. Hi, this is gonna be my final update because I just finished A False Start, which, yes, I did not do any updates for it. Before I talk about my thoughts, I went to the concert yesterday, the concert I talked about earlier of Damiano David. And I actually went alone. The plan was to go with a friend, but she ended up canceling the day before. So not a lot of my friends love him, and the ones that do were on vacation. So it's fine, I went alone, and actually turned out to be great because I actually met 2 other girls there who were also there alone, one of which we started talking about books, and she's a reader and she subscribed to my channel. So girl, if you're watching, it was so nice meeting you, and it was amazing. He was so good live, even though he did say his voice was shit, but even him with a shitty voice is still better than a lot of other artists. Bought a shirt, which that is something I tend to love to do when I go to a concert, is buy the merch, or at least buy a shirt that I can sleep in later. So Yes, I had an amazing time. If you don't know him for some reason, then I would say look him up because I love his songs. I do wish he sang in Italian though, because some of Måneskin's best songs in my opinion were the Italian ones, but hey ho, you cannot have everything in life, I guess. Let me talk to you about A False Start. So this is the fourth full-length novel and final book in the Gold Rush Ranch series. And this book you follow Nadia Dalka, who is Stefan's sister from the third book, and you follow Griffin Sinclair, who is Stefan's best friend. And if you've read the third book, then you know that there's a very big age gap between Stefan and Nadia. I believe there's like a 13-year age gap between them, and there's a even bigger one between Nadia and Griffin. There's a 14-year age gap between them. You know, Elsie Silver just loves a good age gap. Like, I believe, I don't know, I don't want to go there, but most of her books have an age gap. And I believe this one is the largest, I think. Because I think most of the age gaps are around 10 years. So you start the book off with Nadia making out with a guy who's a very terrible kisser. And then this other gruff guy walks in and she asks him to kiss her, and they do. And then he tells her that that was a mistake and he leaves. A couple months later, she finds out that he's actually Griffin, her brother's best friend. And then there's a time jump of 2 years. So when they first kissed, she was actually 19. Now she's 21. She just finished school to be a vet technician. And Griff has recently been hired at Gold Rush Ranch to break in the new horses, since Billy, the original horse trainer, obviously, she's now pregnant with twins and she cannot train the new horses. So Griff has been hired to do that. And because of that, he and Nadia get pushed together again, since they work on the same property. And obviously he's still best friends with her brother. They even get closer when he accidentally hits a dog, and it's a stray dog, and they have to amputate one of his legs. But then Griffin ends up adopting the dog, and of course that melted my heart. You know, if there's anything about me, is I love a guy who loves dogs. That just melts my heart. And the way him and little Tripod, which is what they end up naming the dog, like their bond is just fucking adorable to me. Like this gruff giant mountain man with this like teeny tiny like puppy, it melted me. Both of them are basically tortured characters. Nadia, like you already know about her past. Her father was an abusive asshole who constantly beat up on her mom. And in this book, you find out that he actually started hitting Nadia as well. And because of that, like her kind of coping mechanism for that is kind of to sleep around with a bunch of different guys. She doesn't want to settle down because her worst fear in life is to end up like her mom, being tied down to a man who doesn't treat her right. And Griffin also he used to be like the town hero, a small town football legend basically. So he went off to play in the NFL, I guess. He won 2 Super Bowls, and then because of an injury, he had to stop. And because of that injury, it's a head injury, he also developed a stutter. So he kind of is like, and that ended up, well, I mean, he kind of was an alcoholic while he was at the height of his fame, but he ended up turning to alcohol and like a whole mess. But in the beginning of the book, he doesn't drink alcohol, but his coping mechanisms are still not the best. So he knows he's bad news for Nadia, who he calls a wildflower. He compares her to the sun multiple times, and he feels like he's everything that she shouldn't want. He's like this older guy with a lot of problems, and they should just stay away from each other. Plus, Stefan is his only friend, and he doesn't want to betray that friendship. But Nadia, the wildflower that she is not deterred. She is interested in him, and she hasn't found anybody that interests her as much as Griff interests her. Like that one kiss 2 years ago, she still cannot stop thinking about. So throughout this book, they get closer. They do develop like a friendship that does obviously develop into more. I really loved it. Like, I tend to really love a tortured / scarred hero, and add to that a FMC who's also complicated. I mean, as much as I feel bad, obviously, that just makes for an interesting dynamic in my opinion. This book was also very hot. Like, comparing it to a lot of her other books, this one has more sex scenes and kinkier sex scenes at that. I do have to say, one thing that did bother me in this book is I felt like, and that makes sense for their characters, but it was frustrating to read, is both of them, but especially her, liked solving things with sex, which I mean works up to a certain point, but when you're getting towards like the later, like the back half of the book, I want you to actually communicate with each other and not try to drown your sorrows by avoiding them through sex, you know what I mean? So that started to bother me a bit. What I did like about this book, and I'm sorry, like if you're a Billy lover, then I'm sorry for this video, but I really liked in this book that Billy was barely in it. I think that also did this book a lot of favors. Billy, I don't know. I said enough about her already. So yeah, this is A Brother's Best Friend, age gap romance. Can you start with this one? So this series is split between like two sibling pairs. So the first two books are the Harding siblings, so Vaughn and Cole. And the second sibling pair is the Delka siblings, so Stefan and Nadia. And I think if you want to read this one, I would urge you to read the book before it, The Front Runner. Do I have any other thoughts? I probably should have just updated you halfway through, but I read most of this book today and I just wanted to veg out. I wanted to rot and just like do nothing but read this book. So that's what I did basically. I liked in this book that both of them were still figuring things out throughout the majority of this book. I feel like, yes, both of them did struggle before, obviously, and did work on themselves before, but while getting closer, they knew that both of them still had to figure things out. She already went to therapy, so she has like the mental health side already figured out, but she's still young, obviously. She was still trying to figure out what she wanted to do with her life. And at the start of this book, she still hadn't figured it out yet. Whereas in the other three books, all those characters already have had that part settled. And for him, obviously, even though, yeah, technically he is sober, he doesn't drink anymore, but the way he deals with that, I watch a lot of Peter Mon, especially, like I really love his vlogs, and he talks a lot about sobriety, and I don't really know, well, I mean, not that I know of, obviously, but there's nobody in my environment that is sober or an alcoholic, and I also don't struggle with those things, but I know a lot about it, mainly from him talking about it. And I did find it interesting in this book that I believe he calls it like emotional sobriety or something like that. Like there's a difference between actually not, like the act of not drinking or finding ways to deal with the underlying issue and have a good and healthy coping mechanism. And you saw in this book that Griff definitely, like he didn't drink a drop, but since his underlying issues were never dealt with, it wouldn't be surprising if he actually started drinking again because he never really tackled the underlying issues. And I do like how she handled that. Obviously, like I said, I cannot speak on it since that is not my lived experience. But I don't know. I feel like she did a good job with that. And Nadia, obviously, she did have a horrible past. On the one hand, I'm glad she didn't dwell too much on that, but on the other hand, I would have liked a bit more about that because yes, Stefan had a horrible life, but she definitely had it harder, and I wanted to know a bit more about what that was like, but I get that would be obviously depressing. So I think those are my thoughts for now. Yeah. What should I do first? Okay, let's rank the Gold Rush Ranch first, and then I'm gonna do the ultimate Elsie Silver tier ranking because as of this moment, I have read every single Elsie Silver book there is. So for the Gold Rush Ranch, my least favorite is, of course, Out of the Gate. The novella, her one and only novella. I gave this one 2 stars, and it's my least favorite in the Gold Rush Ranch. And spoiler alert for my ultimate Elsie Silver tier ranking, it is my least favorite book by her ever. Then this goes at the very bottom. Then there is Off to the Races. This one I gave 3 stars. It's my least favorite full-length novel in the Gold Rush Ranch. Like, my feelings get solidified with every other book I read in this series because Billy, I don't know, my feelings about her, not that positive. Okay, this was a bit difficult because the other 3 are all 5 stars, but I think after that is A False Start. Not anything against this book, but I feel like the other 2 couples will stick by me longer, I feel like. So this one is in like 3rd place. Then in 2nd place is The Front Runner. I really love this one. Obviously a 5 star. And then my favorite is A Photo Finish. There's just something so special about this book. I fell in love with it. It is one of my favorite Elsie Silver books, so this is my favorite in the Gold Rush Ranch series. So this is my tier ranking for this series. Now let's rank every book. Okay, so Elsie Silver has written 14 books. It's gonna be a struggle holding them all up. We'll see how I manage. I hope I don't drop them all. So my my least favorite, I already talked about. It's Out of the Gate. It is my least favorite. It's a 2-star. It's not my favorite. Then in the 13th place is, and once again, another Gold Rush Ranch. It is Off to the Races. This is my one and only 3-star by Elsie Silver. I think I've said all there is to say about this one. In number 12 is Reckless. This one I gave 4 stars. It is my least favorite in the Chestnut Springs series, which this is, I don't know, I feel like this is a lot of people's favorite book, but it just wasn't mine. So I actually read this entire series while on BookTube, so I'm sure I have reviews for them, so I'll try to link them. But for me, my biggest gripe is that Theo didn't really feel like a very well fleshed out character, in my opinion. So I felt like he was done dirty in this book, but obviously it's just my opinion. Take it with a grain of salt. Number 11 is Hopeless. This one, I actually gave 5 stars when I first finished it, but with the passage of time, I just liked it less and less, and I since changed my rating to a 4-star. It's still, like, it is good, but it's just not my favorite, especially seeing every other book I read by her. And now every other book is a 5-star, which is a feat and a half. That means out of the 14 books, 10 are 5-star reads for me. So yes, she is squarely in my favorite author category. I really love her books. So it makes sense that not all of them can be 5 stars. So these are my least favorite. All the other ones are 5 stars. So I'm really splitting hairs here in my tier ranking, but I mean, I rank them anyway. Number 10th place goes to Wild Love. It's my least favorite 5-star by her. I really loved it when I first read it, but I feel like comparing it to her other books, this one, I don't find myself thinking about it too much. I don't think about these characters too much. It's still a 5-star. I did enjoy my time. I do recommend this book often. And I do really love these characters when they show up in the other books. But it's my least favorite 5 stars. And of course, it's still a 5-star. I didn't change the rating. Number 9 goes to Flawless. I gave this 5 stars. It's a good book, but especially and this is a bit of a spoiler, but the 2 books that come after this are some of my favorite Elsie Silver. So this one pales a bit in comparison to the other 2, but it's still a solid read. It got me into Elsie Silver, so for that alone, it will always have a soft spot in my heart. So, but this is 9th place. So far, a lot of pinks. I guess the pink books by Elsie are just not in my top 5. Number 8 is Wild Side. I reviewed this book. I'll leave, like I said, I'll leave every book linked for you that I reviewed. For the Rose Hill series, I have an entire playlist dedicated to that series. This one I really liked, but I just haven't found myself thinking about it too much, so therefore it is in 8th position. Then in 7th place is A False Start, another pink book. Yeah, this one I talked enough about. The 6th spot goes to Nadia's Sibling. The front runner is in 6th spot for me, which the way I gushed about these 2 just tells you enough about my top 5, because that is where we've gotten to. My hands hurt. Number 5 goes to Wild Side. It was so special for me. It was one of my favorite books I read last year. I'm very sad that I actually was in a reading slump when this book came out, because it was amazing in my opinion. I really, really loved it. So this is what it looks like now. 4th spot goes to Wild Card. And I do have to say, with these 2, since this is her very most recent release, it definitely has recency bias. And it kind of switches on the day which one of these I prefer. But for now, this one is in 4th spot and this one is in 5th spot, but ask me tomorrow and it might be the other way around. But I mean, it is, I don't know. These tier rankings are always kind of hard, especially if I have a lot of 5 stars. Like, I don't know, how am I gonna pick between my favorite kids, you know? Moving on to my top 3, and this top 3 is it is very solid in my heart. I love all of these and I don't think it will change. I mean, obviously depending on her next books, but let me just tell you and then talk about them individually. I think that's the best course. Okay, so 3rd spot goes to A Photo Finish. I really love this book. It shot up on my ranking because it was so special in my opinion. Then 2nd spot goes to Heartless. And my number 1 favorite Elsie Silver book is Powerless. So this is my tier ranking. And I'm gonna put these down because I might break my hands. Let's talk about these two. Because I know this is not necessarily like the most popular opinion. I know Powerless is not a lot of people's favorite book, but it's just mine. I don't know what it is about it. This just has a chokehold on me ever since I read it. I feel like it has something to do with the pining heroine. I related so much to Sloane that this just got to me and never let me go. It is also like her one and only active sports romance, and I am just a sports romance girly, so I think that is my reasoning for this being my favorite. I do obviously love Heartless. That is why it's my second favorite. I think if Powerless didn't exist, Heartless would definitely be my favorite, just like a lot of other people. Yes, let's actually give you my average rating of her books and then my average rating per series, because it might actually surprise you, although you just saw my ranking, so it might actually not surprise you. So my overall average rating for every Elsie Silver book is a 4.5, which is very high. Then the Gold Rush Ranch has an average of a 4.0 rating for me. Chestnut Springs has an average rating of 4.6. And Rose Hill has an average rating of 5, which is interesting because the Rose Hill, even though I gave every single book in that series 5 stars, none of these books are in my top 3. 2 are in my top 5, so I mean, it makes sense. But yeah, I really love Elsie Silver. I would really love to know, since I now read every single book by her, I am planning on doing like an author spotlight or something similar to that around the time, like right before her newest release comes out, which is next year. Let me know if you have any questions regarding her books, or if you want me to put anything in that video, because I'll definitely do that. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I'd really love to know, have you read Elsie Silver? And if you did, what is your favorite book by her? If you've not read her books, are you planning on reading her books? And if so, which one do you want to start with? I will be probably doing like a reading order in that video I just talked about. If you want to let me know that you are here but you don't actually want to say anything, leave me some sort of cowboy emoji or like a horse emoji for the Gold Rush Ranch. And I really hope you enjoyed this video. Definitely let me know by leaving a like if you did, and thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.